Λοιπόν, Χριστόφορε, αγαπητό κοινό, έχουμε την τύχη να έχουμε μαζί μας τον Mike Batiste. Όπως καταλαβαίνετε, η συζήτηση θα γυρίσει στα αγγλικά σε λίγο. Να τον καλωσορίσουμε. So, Mike, welcome in our podcast. Thank you very, very much for accepting the invitation. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Man, it's awesome to be here. It's an honor. And let's get it going.
Καλησπέρα, Mike. Τι κάνεις?
Hola, Kala, KC.
Καλά και εγώ. I knew it.
I still know just a little bit of Greek, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, I've been practicing on Duolingo just a little bit, just to give y'all a little cheat sheet. But that's nothing here or there. It's just to refresh my basic memory of what I know.
Nice. Like, it's always nice to see athletes from playing so many years in another country get out of Panathinaikos way. Like, you are playing in Partizan, you are playing in Spain, like they know the language of the country that they're playing. And this is something like how an athlete that comes from the States can get inside the culture of another country. I think this is the most difficult when you start.
Yeah. Well, again, I picked up a lot of stuff just from my teammates. And I felt sometimes it was a big help when you can tell, you know, Matiste or whoever's guarding the ball that the pick is coming left or the pick is coming right. So, you know, I used to say it all the time. And guys would be, you know, I can see like some guys, American guy who's guarding Matiste, he's over there looking at what the hell is Mike calling. But I'm just calling out coverages in their language. So I think it helped. I think it went a long way at times. So again, the basic stuff that I did know, I learned it a lot, like from my teammates, just hearing conversation and just asking them, what does that mean?
Okay, so Mike, here we will not go either αριστερά or δεξιά. We will go straight. Okay?
Let's go.
No coverages, just straight words.
Okay.
First of all, what's the big difference in your life, in your coaching career, with the playing career? What's the difference? How do you taste the game now?
It's a big difference because I don't have definitive control of the outcome, right? Like you can, you know, prepare these guys as much as you want. You can have the greatest game plan coming into that night. But it can all explode, you know what I'm saying, at any moment's notice because you can have a bad shooting night or things just don't go well. Or the other team that you playing has caught a hot streak and has just went, you know, just made everything. I've seen every single game, every single angle in my 12 years of, you know, coaching here at the NBA. And I think that is the biggest difference that I can't really get out there and play, but I'm enjoying it a lot. And I'm helping players to the best of my ability. So it's been a fun ride so far.
Have you ever imagined when you were playing as an athlete in Panathinaikos or in other team, like, I'm going to end up being an assistant coach or I want to be a coach?
I never thought that I would be a coach. I knew I would be around a game. Didn't know what level at first. But I knew I wanted to stay around the game in some capacity. And, you know, when rumors started going around that I might be retiring, David Griffin, you know, gave my agent Todd Ely a call. And he's, you know, the conversation started about, you know, me possibly retiring. My agent told him at the time I was 50-50. So David Griffin was like, you know, well, if Mike decides to, you know, make that choice, tell him to give me a call, like I have a job for him. And when I made the choice, reached out to him, and he just told me about the unbelievable opportunity for me to step into the field of coaching and giving my knowledge and wisdom to players that are in need of that. And so I went to Canton, Ohio for 2 years, and the coaching journey of Mike Batiste started there. And I was very blessed to, you know, work with Jordy Fernandez, Steve Hetzel, and some other, you know, good coaches on that staff who I do see in the NBA right now. So it's always good to see those guys.
Do you see a lot of differences in European coaching staffs than in the NBA, or you think that European level it's almost the same?
I would say almost the same to a point. Like when I watch European games, it's just like you guys are running the same plays that we are running here in the NBA. So it's like I really don't see too much of a difference. Of course, our style of play and our pace is frantic. It's super duper crazy. You know, in my time growing up, you know, you would watch the NBA, the pace wasn't like this at all. So the pace is extremely frantic. Even for us here in Toronto, we're like the third or fourth best team in transition in all the NBA. That's after makes and after even after you know, I mean after misses, but even after makes, we are snatching that ball out the net and we're trying to score in the first like 6 to 8 seconds before the defense gets set. In Europe, you don't really see that as much. Valencia is probably the only team that I know that really gets up and down. But I felt like that's always been Spanish clubs' identity. Even like when I played, they always wanted to play up and down, up and down, up and down. And all the Greek teams, we could run and play with the best of them, but we was better, you know, slowing the ball down, playing half court and executing, you know what I'm saying, within the half court system. So those are the things that are kind of a difference. But again, like I said, it's almost the same to me in some small perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mike, what do you miss the most from the player career? Like,
I mean, every player was really tell you honestly, it's those locker room conversations, those times you spend on the road, like with those guys. Those are, you know, the most fun that I had, where all the stories evolved and everything. Because of course, you know, when you get home and you have free time, you know, you're really around your family when you have those most intimate times. You know, your significant other or kids or whatever you have, it's like you're going home to them and trying to spend time with them. But on the flip side, like I told you guys, you know, you spend more time with your teammates and coaches than your own family. So, you know, creating that bond and that brotherhood, what you saw on the court from us, it wasn't fake. If you saw us interacting off the court, you'd be like, gosh, I wonder why, you know, they went on the court, because they're such a close, tight-knit group. We all went out with one another. You never really saw us by ourselves. We was always in groups of 4s, 5, 6, you know, it didn't matter. You know, one time we'll go to the restaurant, I will pay the whole bill for dinner. Next time we go to a restaurant, somebody else will pay the whole bill for dinner. So it really was a brotherhood, and we had each other's back from on the court to off the court. And it was a very special bond.
sometimes you will go Buzukia with Saras also.
Every now and then, it just depends on the occasion. We just wouldn't go any regular day, but you know, we win a title, a cup, EuroLeague, whatever it was. We celebrated with the best of them. I'm not gonna lie. You know, we lived a really good life. You know, on the court and off the court. You know, so I can't complain. There's no regrets.
Maybe you did some exceptions, not only after winning titles, okay, under the radar.
Oh, I mean, yeah, after like sometimes, you know, you have a big win, and you know it was a big win because sometimes the pressure weighed a ton at Panathinaikos, and sometimes we got more pressure than what we needed to, but that's, you know, that's how it is, you know, and that's how it was. And thank God we had, you know, players that wanted to live up to that pressure. You know what I mean? It's only a select few guys that are privileged to handle pressure the way that we did in my time at Panathinaikos. So of course we got a big win. Hell yeah, we went out and, you know, we celebrated knowing that, you know, we probably had the day off the next day, so we could go out and party all through the night till the sun come up and recover all day the next day.
Mm-hmm. Before we move on Panathinaikos chapter, one question about the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a perspective about trade deadline, even as a player, that you don't know where you will end up?
Man,
yes.
Go ahead, finish your question.
No. The other side is the coaching staff side, that they may prepare all this thing.
Yeah, it's tough both ways. It's tough, number one, because You know, during a trade deadline, the players' emotions change. They, you know, of course, they pay attention to the news, to their friends, sources, whatever, and they're in just a different rage of emotion. You know, because like they can be in shoot around or practice one day, and the next minute they could be gone, walking out of the arena on the way to their next journey. So it's they walk around on pins and needles. So it's a different way of how you have to talk to these guys and coach these guys, because you know they are in a roller coaster of emotion. And then from the coach's standpoint, you're kind to hoping that you know, we're trading to get a player that's going to help us astronomical, that's going to kick us through the door and take us over the hump and win titles after titles. B, you're hoping that, you know, the move that you make is maybe a small move that's going to help bench play or a role for a backup that we really, really need. But the flip side of that is that you don't want a whole roster overhaul, right? Because then you have to basically start a new training camp in the middle of the season. And I've been in those situations before. We have basically gutted, you know, our best players, and we have to start over like a training camp in February to get all these new players accustomed to our coverages and schemes on defense and our style of play and spacing and philosophy and principles in offense. It's a very, very crazy time, but I'm glad like right now it's over. The team that we have with the Toronto Raptors, this is what we have. We made a small trade getting Trace Jackson Davis from the Golden State Warriors, which was a big need for us because we needed a backup big. I hated to see, you know, Ochai Agbaji leave again. Great player, great person. You know what I mean? He just became a new father. So it's tough to see guys like that, you know, go away. Because again, high character guy, good locker room guy, good teammate guy. And these are the guys that we try to, you know, incorporate and, you know, into the Toronto Raptors organization.
It is at the end of the day business, I think. And this is the most that hurts me, because I'm like the more romantic guy. Like I always like to have everything, like playing for the jersey, playing for the Buds, playing like for Panathinaikos. I told you before we start, you're the first athlete that I broke in tears when you came back with Fener. I told you what you meant for me, but one straightforward question: what does Panathinaikos mean to you?
Panathinaikos is everything to me. It's life. You know what I mean? Like you spend a decade of your time in one country and giving your mind, your body, your soul, blood, sweat, and tears to an organization. There's a lifetime bond and lifetime connect. I might not always be there, but at the end of the day, you know, that connection is still there. Even when I talk to, you know, former teammates, he's like, man, Mike, it's just like the things that we did back in the day is like, we're still being celebrated in some, you know, form or fashion. And, you know, from that, I'm very appreciative and, you know, highly honored that, you know, people recognize that what we did was nothing short of a dynasty. You know what I mean? And that's what all that means to me with Panathinaikos. It's family, it's life, it's dynasty, it's history, it's tradition, it's winning, it's championships. It's all the above. And when you think about some of the greatest, you know, sports organization, it's like they have to be right up there with all the titles and everything else.
We have some questions here with Christopher, but this is not one of those, because I want to ask you, how was the day that you left Panathinaikos? Do you remember this day? Do you remember the day that you said to yourself, Mike is out?
Which one? Leaving the Fener or retirement?
No, I mean about Panathinaikos.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I'm 36 years old. I think my knees has had enough. I done jumped and caught so many alley-oops from Dematidis and Saris and pick and rolls. My knees have had enough at this point. My mind is telling me one thing, like, yeah, like you can still go out there and play, but your body is is telling you a whole different thing. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like the grind that we went through at Panathinaikos, again, it's going to take something away from you, your mind. It's going to take something from your body. Fortunately, it was my knees, and it just ran its course, and I had to tap out and bow out gracefully. But when I came to the conclusion to make that choice, is like when you kind of reflect a little bit on a career that you had, it was just like, well, shit, Mike, you have nothing else to prove. Like, you've maxed out the best way that you can. You've won every team accolade. You've won some individual accolades. Like, this is nothing short of a success. It's just like what Americans really came over there and did the things that I've done. Yes, there are guys that came close, have had the same, platform that I had, but at the end of the day, I was one of the rare ones and first ones to do it. So when you sit back and think about it, I was just like, it's over, and all good things come to an end. It was, very emotional for me, that day, because ever since I was like 5 or 6 years old, this has been all that I knew, loved, ate, slept, thought about. Like, it was all about basketball. And now to be away from that, it was tough. But at the end of the day, when we talked about the coaching career, when that call came through, that was one of the reasons why, I stepped through the door to stay, close to the game that I love.
So we blame Diamantidis and Saras for these alley-oop passes until now for your knees. Like every time that the knee hurts, like you call Saras and say, "Hey, brother, why so many alley-oops?"
Like that. No, it never was. And to be honest, the true story, playing American football here is a big deal here in America. That was my first love before basketball, playing a quarterback position. I had dreams of being an NFL quarterback before basketball took over. But then I had a serious knee injury playing football, and my mom told me, like, there's no more football like anymore. You're going to have to choose basketball or baseball. And those are the last two sports that I had left. And of course, I was already further along in basketball. Baseball was cool, but it was still up and coming. But basketball was something that I had in my back pocket that I can just fall back on. And I mean, you guys see the rest of the story was history. So I guess moms know best, or she knew something was brewing, you know what I'm saying? Because they can see, I guess, in the future, and I couldn't at that time. But I mean, that was tough for me too, to tell me that I can't play a sport that I was falling in love with, and then now I have to, fall back on another sport. And then I had to eventually learn to fall in love with basketball, which was at that time, again, the best choice. Because growing up in Long Beach, which is right outside of LA, I mean, the LA Lakers are dominating the 80s of basketball. So, I mean, I had a firsthand tutorial of watching Magic, Kareem, Worthy, Byron Scott, AC Green, all those guys. My dad, who's been a mechanic like all his life, had a mechanic shop right down the street from the Great Western Forum. So, my brother and I would go there and do work sometimes. And, he would send us to the 7-Eleven corner store, whatever, to get him a racing form. Because now where you see the Tuadome, where the LA Clippers played and the LA Rams played, that used to be a racing track called Hollywood Park, in my time growing up in LA. And, sometimes, we can hear the roar of the crowd from the Great Western Forum, coming out to the streets. And my brother and I used to sit there and like kind of visualize, like, what the hell is going on in there? It's excitement, Magic is passing the ball, whatever. As a kid, you can just come up with a million different scenarios. Right. And it was just like, man, it'd be awesome, man, to go see them play or play there one day. So basketball was really, really taking over in my time. And it was, again, the best sport to fall back on.
Who you look when you grow up like a player, like I want to be that. I want to be this player. I want to do like Magic.
Oh, it was Magic. It was Magic for sure. Everybody was captivated with Magic. I mean, as soon as he stepped on the scene in LA, I mean, we was winners. You know what I mean? The smile, the charisma, the everything that went with it. Everybody wanted to be, you know, Magic Johnson. And you can ask Baron Davis, you can ask the Paul Pierces of the world, all those guys that grew up in California at my time, they could tell you the same thing as well. You know, everybody wanted to be Magic Johnson.
You speak about legends, and I want to ask you about a European legend, Zeljko Obradović.
Mm-hmm.
What is your relationship with him, even today or throughout your career?
I think our relationship is good. I mean, of course, we don't talk all the time. We have different schedules. But, you know, once I reach out, it's like we almost can't get off the phone with one another because, you know, we talk so much, you know, basketball, we talk so much life. He's asking me about my wife, my kids, you know, because, you know, when I had my son, he was a baby boy over there. Now he's 16 years old. He's 6'5", 230 pounds. So he's a big boy, and he's excelling in his, you know, his baseball life. And it's a beautiful thing to see something that you brought into this world as a little baby boy. Now he's grown up and carving his own path. And it's very, very awesome, you know, to see. He's dedicated, disciplined, he's determined. I mean, everything that you saw from me on the court, I guess the DNA passed right to him, and he's excelling in all colors in his sport. But yeah, but you know, me and Zeljko relationship is totally fine. You know, coaching with Darko Rajokovic here, they have a relationship as well. They also have a relationship with Dimitri Tudis, who also visited us here in Toronto for 10 days. So it was awesome, like, to be around him, to talk old stories, old memories, embarrassing stories sometimes, because I was in the middle of it, but it was all good and fun. We had, you know, some really good laughter. You know, we shed a tear here and there, you know what I mean? But again, those were the things that we tried to create. Even, you know, sitting down in my most intimate times with Zeljko, he was just like, Mike, we're trying to create something here. So when we all go away and we are 20 years removed from this game, when we always think about this time here, you know, you will always think about the best time, like, of your life and your career. And again, that's, you know, again, when you think about Panathinaikos, that's, you know, what I think about, the best time of my life.
Mike, you had one teammate, like a crazy genius basketball player that ever exists. And he's not Greek, just to clarify. I'm speaking about Sarunas Jasikevicius.
Yeah.
One of the greatest minds, like the most sick passes that you're ever gonna see. Maybe I'm gonna say Milos after Saras is one of the craziest guys that could pass like this, crazy no-look passes and everything. But how is he in the locker room? Like, hidden stories. I'm searching for hidden gems that you have to say.
I wouldn't say nothing too ratchet, but I would definitely say he's a loose cannon. You know what I mean? Because it's like in the locker room, you can really be yourself around the guys. Like, you know, I'm pretty sure if you ask Sarunas about some kind of stories about me, he's going to tell you for sure. But, you know, in the locker room, Sarunas was, you know, again, super energetic. And if you understood our locker room dynamic, because now how I see Panathinaikos locker room, it's all one big locker room. But we had two different sides. We had the foreigners on one side, and we had all the Greeks on the other side. And a lot of times he would go infiltrate the Greek sides and just start ruckus because they was always quiet. So he would go in there and just talk shit to guys, whatever, and just get them going. And it was all good and fun. But, you know, Sarunas, he's working on his Greek. He's cursing, you know, everybody in Greek on their side. And, you know, you're just sitting there just kind of just like shaking your head because either it's too early in the morning, right? We have an 11 o'clock practice. Everybody's there at 9:30. We're just, you know, we just woke up, got out of bed. And Sarunas, I'm talking about, he is on 10 right in the morning. It don't care. 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. He's trying to get you to go because it's time to perform. So even though we didn't like it, he stayed right here in your face and got us going to perform and excel. But that was not just him. That was all of us. We all knew certain ways to, you know, push one another, start each other's engine. And that was Sharuna's way of getting guys going. You know, my way was trying to lead by example and try to work hard in every single drill, every single like sprints that we had to run. I try to run at 100% all the time. So I always try to lead by example. Very few guys can really lead by voice and go out there and be perfect. You know, nobody's perfect in this game. So, you know, trying to lead by example was one of the best ways I try to lead.
Speaking about Saras, Christopher is searching for hidden gems about the locker rooms, but I have one very different question about the 2009 final.
Mm-hmm.
Before halftime, he passes the ball to Drew Nicholas behind the
Mm-hmm.
back.
Mm-hmm.
Drew scores,
Mm-hmm.
and Saras starts pointing his head, and he says something to all of you. Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember what was that?
He was cursing at us, telling us to stay locked in, like the game is not over, because you know I think we go up, I don't know, 20-something points at that time.
Yes.
When Drew makes the shot, our momentum is riding on an unbelievable high, and for some guys, or I would say how the game goes, you can be fooled by the game. You're up 23 points. Oh, the game is over, right? But it's not over, right? Cheska was a championship pedigree built team. They wasn't going away easy, and that was his warning of like letting us know, like, this is not over. We have a whole nother half. He was like, oh, Malaka's, you guys are crazy. Like, you know, stop celebrating. Like, we got a whole nother half. And he was exactly right, because when you saw that second half, we escaped by the skin of our teeth. And you know, that's the tale of two different halves. That's the tale of two different teams, right? First half, we're making every single shot, everything is clicking, everything is going, we're defending at a high level. Second half comes and we're missing shots, we're defending, but they're making shots. So it was a crazy game to be a part of, but also blessed that we, you know, came out victorious, because that was my second EuroLeague title.
I'm glad my friend Panos mentioned 2009, because I have one small question and then a follow-up question after this, not for the 2009, but later on, the next year. If you can say, like, this team has all the superstars, Saras, Mitsos was there, like everybody, like right now Panathinaikos also have too many stars. We as fans, or like the media or whatever you can call it, like always we think, how is possible all these stars, all these guys that they want the ball in their hands, they can find the chemistry and goes on. From the player perspective and from the coach perspective right now, how hard it is to go in this way?
I mean, it's very hard. Like you said, everybody wants the ball and everybody, you know, wants to score. But I think from a coach's standpoint, you gotta, you know, let guys know what the roles are. You know what I mean? And obviously when you built in a system and a philosophy, basketball players are smart enough to figure out like where the ball is really going majority of the time, and then how do I play off this certain action. I think that's how, you know, one of the ways like we was built. I know we was high level pick and roll team, but you know, we moved the ball. We body movement was big. You know, Nico Hazivretas was a big time cutter and somebody that really played well off the ball. Defensively, he was really, you know, good at chasing guys like shooters off screens, getting in passing lanes, all kind of stuff. So like there was different ways guys found rhythm like within the game. You know, depending on what year you're talking about, the ball would stay either in DiMattei's hand or the ball would find me, right? Or 2009, we have Drew Nicholas, we have Pekovic. Now we have to take the ball out my hand and DiMattei's hands a little bit more. And now we have to run catch and shoot offense with Drew Nicholas. We have to post up Nikola Pekovic, who's a beast down there on the block. The ball had to find its way to different guys. So, you know, what we end up doing is probably we ramped up our defense more and we created turnovers, right? We got steals. We was able to get out and run and get easy baskets. And that made other guys feel involved in part of the team and everything else that was going. Some nights, you know, depending on how teams would defend us, like if they're like, hey, no alley-oops for, you know, Mike Batiste, I would still roll to the basket knowing that the defense is packing the paint. And then, we will rely and trust that Demetrius and Sharunas can look over the defense and find like the weak side corner pass, right, for our 3-point shooters out there on a perimeter. So, a lot of it was built in, what I'm saying, from training camp right from the start. But, when you go into these games, sometimes it's more of read and react and how, the defense is playing you as well. So all those things are, taken into an account,
And the follow-up question is next year, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good year for you guys back then, but you go outside of Waka and you see like 3,000-4,000 fans of Panathinaikos.
Mm-hmm.
For me, as a fan, that moment means a lot back then, because I felt that, like, we support you no matter what. But what meant for you exactly that time when you came outside and you see all these fans saying, like, we are here for you?
Exactly what you said is like, you guys was there for us no matter what. I think that support went a really, really long way, because at that time we were hurting. We was very beaten up. I was hurt. Peko got hurt. Peko got hurt that year. Shasa Reese got hurt that year. We was going through a lot of stuff, and it's just like, when you're defending champions, you're trying to defend your title, but it's like every game you're playing with restrictions, or you're limping into the game trying to find different ways to win. It was very, very tough for us that year, and we lost 3 games into the top 16. So at this point, you're already like, wow, like to get to the playoffs, like, we need a miracle. And there really wasn't no miracle in sight, for us. And, to have those fans to show up to Waka at that time and give their undying support, it meant everything at that time. Number one, could let us continue on and fight through the season, because even though EuroLeague was pretty much done for us, we still had the Greek championship to play for. And that was another thing that the fans, chanted for us, like, hey, we understand that you guys are in this position, but, keep fighting, keep playing through, and let's just win the title versus Olympiacos, in the end. And that's what we did. And I don't think we get through that year without that type of support and showing us that, it could be done. Because if you guys don't show up, maybe we continue to hurt throughout the season, bleed throughout the season, lose some Greek League games that we're not supposed to lose to, and eventually lose the Greek championship. Like, you got to understand, like, losing is not in a player's makeup. Like, we don't want to lose. It's not like we wake up and we want to lose. But when you lose consecutive games in a row, then you start to ponder a little bit and start to dwell on things. If you're doing things right, wrong, what are your teammates doing right, wrong? Am I the best fit for this team? Do we need help from somebody else? Like, you start thinking outside the box, which is somewhat a little bit uncharacteristic, but that's what losing, does to you. And we was at that point, in time, and to get that support from you guys, again, it meant a lot for us. And it's the reason why we found success at the end of the season, winning the Greek championship.
And thank you for that, for the championship.
Yeah, you're welcome. It wasn't easy. It was not easy, because I believe Olympiacos had home court advantage in that playoff series, if I'm not mistaken. And so it was tough. We had to go down there and win, take home court advantage, and then eventually I think we won game 4 in Waka. So it was awesome.
Actually, I think that conversation is heading exactly where me and Christopher wanted before we start this interview, to speak about Panathinaikos of 2026, this year, I mean. But before we go there, I want to ask you something. How difficult is it to be back-to-back champions? Because many players, many coaches speak about the difficulty of this. They speak like it's something very different than win the title.
Yeah, it's EuroLeague titles, man. They are very, very, very tough to win. I think winning any high level game, it's not easy. winning here in the NBA is not easy. Winning EuroLeague games, FIBA games, you know, when you're watching European Championship, those games they're not easy. You know, guys are putting their blood, sweat, and tears on the line. But you know, to go, you know, through that time, it's what you signed up for. You know, there's no running from it. I think only the mentally tough type players can handle those situations. We was coached by a mentally tough coach. You know, he prepared us the best way possible. And as players, we was very, very confident. Like, we didn't matter if we went to Seth or we went to Pioneer in Serbia to play. We felt confident we can execute the game plan and have control of the game. You know, first quarter, second quarter, third, fourth quarter, we was in control of everything. And I know sometimes it always didn't work our way, but we always felt that we was the most prepared and that we was going to, you know, out execute you at the highest level.
We have a coach here that's already done the back-to-back championship, Erkin Ataman. And
I mean, you probably have to ask him of how hard or difficult it is. I mean, me as a player is like, it's the ultimate goal to win year after year after year. Again, my success in the Greek league of, I think we won 8 straight Greek league championships.
Yes, you did, sir.
Before we lost. So we had an experience of winning title after title after title, but it's like, it'd be so much more special if we could do it with the EuroLeague, right? And that was something in my time we never, ever did. You win 2007, you're eliminated. 2008, you win 09, you're eliminated. And then 2011, this is the first time you had a chance to repeat and go to the Final Four in 2012. It's very, very tough. It's very, very difficult. You know, now that you're a champion, you are the hunted now. Every team in Europe wants you. Every team in your domestic league, where, you know, like for us, every team in Greece wanted to beat us. So we was the hunted, and we had to make sure that we bring our best, because rather you played in the EuroLeague or the Greek league, you was going to get that team's very, very best, right? They wanted your respect. They wanted to show they can beat you. Some teams here in Greece, you know, you play against a team like Patra, they might have a couple players who wants to show their video to other teams and agents across Europe that, hey, look, I played well against Panathinaikos. So we was getting everybody's best. So winning back-to-back titles is to me the ultimate respect. Of course, you know, Maccabi did it. You know, in my time, Olympiacos did it. Efes did it. That is highly respected in my book of basketball, because I tried it and we wasn't successful at it. Rather, you know, injuries, or we just wasn't a good team, whatever it was, we just didn't do it. And I think that's probably one of the things that really kind of stings a little bit when I think about you know, the career and the time and the team that we had. I really felt that we could have won back-to-back titles, but you know, that's how the story goes. It wasn't meant for us to do it. We was meant to do it every other year. So
you create a tradition, if you think about every other year. Right now is the year that we're gonna win again the EuroLeague. We hope, at least, because it's in Athens,
right.
first of all. And as we spoke before, you create another tradition of kicking the ball. Like 2 athletes, they did the same. Like Matthias Lesor and Wayne and Gabriel did the same last year.
Well, hey, let's hope it's somebody else is going to be a third tradition. Somebody else going to be kicking the ball in the crowd, and hopefully, again, this is the year that Panathinaikos wins. Like you said, the every other year tradition. You know, they're in a tough spot right now. But it's still a lot of games left to play. I remember looking in the standings, Monaco was second. Now they dropped all the way to 10th, you know, with their 4 or 5 game losing streak. So, I mean, again, it's a different league than I played in. everybody plays everybody. What is it, 38 regular season games now? And then, you break off into the playoffs and all that. It's a different format. I wish it was like this when we played, because even in my time, we wanted to play every single team, but that just wasn't the format at the time. We had pool play, and, we took care of business of what was in front of us. So can't really blame us for that. But I'm glad the EuroLeague game has evolved. I'm glad that they're playing more games. And I'm also glad that every team gets to play each other, because I feel like that's how it should be.
There is a rumor that this will change next year, though.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to play not double weeks, like double with each team, but like East and West, something like that. Two
conferences.
2 conferences with 11 teams. Honestly, I want to see the Matthias Lesor kicking the ball once again. Because he's injured for a long time, and we're waiting for him. Like, we love him so much, and we saw in his play style and this Slukas pick and roll action with Matthias Lesor, we saw this Diamantidis and Mike Batiste, and it. I think everybody has asked you that or saying to you the same thing.
Of course. And hopefully Matthias is on his way back to the court. I don't know what the status is, whatever. It was tough to see him, hurt himself, because I was watching the game, and, just a crazy injury. But, he's a warrior. He's going to battle. I know he had a small little setback in his rehab, but that's not going to stop him from continuing forward to get back on the court. Like, guys that play with that much effort, energy, and emotion, like, he's not happy he's sitting out and watching practice and watching games. You can tell that when the camera gets on him, like, he really feels like he's out there, and you can feel that through the TV. And he's a big part of their success. So hopefully that he can get back on the court, and when he comes back, that he's like 100%. Because even in Abu Dhabi last year, from my personal opinion, he just wasn't healthy, and he wasn't the Lesor that we all know, because his energy and effort alone can totally change the trajectory of an outcome of a game. And I think that is missing, from Panathinaikos right now. He's been the anchor of their front line. He's commanded anchor defenses. Like, he does a lot. And to have that missing piece gone, you have to adjust and weather the storm the best way you can. But it's a heavy blow and a heavy burden. So hopefully he'll come back 100%.
Mm-hmm. Panathinaikos has been struggling in the latest games.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they can change the outcome of the season? Because right now, Panathinaikos honestly doesn't look like a team that can win the championship, but they have so many characters. They have so many great players. Do you think that things can change? Do you remember yourself on Panathinaikos when, for example, you had a bad season and you lost games? How difficult it is to change the minds? How difficult it is to switch?
It's difficult.
Can you finally start playing like Obradovic said? You can. Okay, let's play now.
Yes and no. You know what I mean? Like, it could just be one bad game and you can flush that. But if it's 2 bad games, 3, 4, 5 bad games, maybe you're in a different mental state. And depending on the stakes of the game, it could be a bad game against Olympiacos, a bad EuroLeague game. Like, you could be hurting for a minute. Like, I've been in that situation. I probably never showed it, because all that stuff was internal. But there was times I had bad games. There was time I had bad practices, and I just wasn't my best. But, you wake up every morning, you get to the gym, you rely into the brotherhood in that locker room to get you going. Again, I tell you, like, Sharunas would come in there and just be in your face. You probably didn't want to hear it, but he was there. Come on, Mike, let's go, man. You look like shit. Let's get up. We got to practice, whatever it was, right? He got me going. And that's all that I needed. That's all that some other guys needed to, to get going. But this is the life, a game of basketball. And like I told you earlier, like, it's going to take something from you. But for the team now, I think what they're 8th place right now, which is probably a play-in berth if the playoffs will start right now. Okay. You know, I still think they can improve. Again, Monaco's 2nd place. They go on a 5-game losing streak. Now they're in 10th. Okay. Panathinaikos can go on a 4 or 5 game winning streak and go from 8th to 3rd to 2nd. It's very, very doable. But I just think right now they just needed to stay as consistent as possible. And in all those standings, every team that's in front of them or below them, it'll just work itself out, you know, and hopefully they can finish in that top 6 where they can get into the playoffs. And then we all know it's about, you get to the playoffs, it's just about matchups, right? And if they get the right matchup, and easily they can beat any team in a 5-game series. I remember 2011, right? We're matched up against Barcelona, defending champion. Everybody's is, you know, a little bit more doubt than it is more positive thought around the cloud that kind of follows Panathinaikos from people in the organization, media, journalists, whatever. You know, some people were 50-50. Oh my God, like they have to play defending champs. I don't think Panathinaikos is going to beat them, but you know, to be the best, you have to beat the best. And you know, we already had a championship pedigree. I was already a 2-time champion at this point. So going up against Barcelona, I wasn't afraid of that at all. Like I wanted to go up against them and beat them on their floor and eliminate them from going to the Final Four, which was in Barcelona, like that year. Like I wanted that. Yeah. So it's very, very doable. And again, I mean, how many games they got left? Like 12 more games. Like, I mean, let's say Panathinaikos go 9-3 or 10-2. You know what I mean? They're going to move up in those standings. A lot of those teams are going to lose, you know, a few games. And, you know, maybe they go from 8th to 5th. Maybe they go 8th to 4th. Like, I don't know. But again, when you want to try to finish into that top 6. And again, hopefully they get a matchup that favors them. And whether they don't have the home court advantage or not, like they can, you know, break the tiebreaker, come home for games 3 and 4 and end it there. And voila, we're right to where we need to be, right in the Final Four, right? So all that stuff that happened throughout the season don't even matter anymore. You know, we're here at this point, and how we got here does not matter. We're here, and you know, let's win in front of our fans and everything else, because it's an awesome feeling. It was an awesome feeling in 2007. You know, winning in Athens and in front of our fans on our floor. It was a very, very special feeling, and I feel like those players deserve to have that same feeling that I had almost 20 years ago.
You mentioned Athens, and I really cannot avoid asking, that year, it brought more pressure on you guys in the locker room? Because we can feel right now the pressure in the locker room that the Final Four is in Athens. We know that, okay, Olympiacos is also a powerful team. And everybody, like, we have to win. It's not an option right now in the minds of the locker room, like, to lose. We saw, like, Ergin Ataman 2 days before, after the game with Real, said, like, hey, guys, forget about the Final Four. Let's play the game. It's at a time. Step up the time. Step out. Play your game, and let's see what's happened at the end. Did the Final Four in Athens brought more pressure in the team, in the locker room?
Yes, it did. But at the same time, there's only one way to relieve the pressure, and that's put the work in. And it started from day one, you know, with Obradovic. That year, you know, Dimitridis, Spanoulis, all those guys, Sasaris, Dikoutis, I think that's the summer that they finished second place in the World Championship when they took a silver medal, right? So they beat the U.S. team that year. Their mentality had totally went through the roof of playing basketball at the highest level. When we got together that summer, it was like our first day in training camp, and Obradovic starts calling out plays. We knew where to be. We knew what the timing was, rhythm, where the ball needed to go. And us as players, we're all sitting around first day of training camp. I'm like, shit, like, if we got all this down now, like, like, whoa, like I can only imagine what the season was going to be. So we worked our butts off to relieve the pressure. We was a well-oiled machine that year. So we knew we was primed to be one of those teams in the Final Four. We just had to put the work in and go out and execute it. And we knew practice by practice, game by game, every team was going to feel that pressure because we was trying to get it out of us and bring it out to the other teams. And that's what you saw right from the start. We attacked the season. I think that year was a really special year because, you know, a lot of teams don't play high level like ball from the start of the season to the end of the year. There's always some point of adversity a little bit, right? Where a team starts playing bad and things don't go well. We had no hiccups that year. Yeah, I had a little calf injury, whatever, but we had Dejan Tomasevic, right? We still had Kostas Sasaris. We still had Dimos Dikoutis. We had Robertas Yatokis. So we had enough to band-aid the situation and for me to, you know, rehab the calf until I come back. So we was a well-oiled machine. And the challenges that we faced this year, we just worked through them. Again, practice after practice, you know, game by game. And I think that year was also special because Final Four was in Athens. We had the Greek Cup Championship in Oaxaca on our floor. And then at that time, we also clinched home court advantage. They had the Greek Championship, the home court advantage to go through Oaxaca as well. So we had all three cards in our favor. And we was like, we have to punch our ticket on all three of them. And if you can go back and watch the celebration after the game of 2007, we were all holding like trophies on the podium, you can already see me talking to guys like, hey, we done won this, we in the moment, but hey, we got to win the Triple Crown now. My mind was already on the Greek championship, waiting for Olympiacos because I knew what was coming up. And I knew that they were sitting there watching our celebration like, we want to beat them, right? It's what the rivalry is. So we knew what we wanted because winning this EuroLeague title, the Greek Cup, and the Greek Championship, you're going to go down in history with a Triple Crown, right? But Olympiacos is trying not to let us get that. So, you know, we wanted it. And that's the mentality that we was in. Like we would win high level games and some, you know, why you guys are not celebrating? It's just like, nah, we're staying in the moment. We're waiting for the next challenge. You know what I mean? And we all wanted to be crown champion that year. I felt that we would get the ultimate respect from, you know, our coaches because Jelko at that time won so many EuroLeague titles. Itoudis has won some at this point. And to kind of sit at the table with them, because we all have a EuroLeague title, was something a little bit different because the respect level changed from coach to player and from player to coach. And I think that every message that was spilled from Obradovic, it was just like you believed it, whether it was right or wrong, right? Because the recipe for success has already been proven, right? Because we won so many Greek League titles. Now we done won the biggest title up over here. It's like now everything Obradovic says is believable. Everything he tells you to go out and do, you're going to go out and try and do, succeed or fail, right? So he always will put you on these different little missions and you will always try to accomplish that mission, right? So let's say like we play against Olympiacos, we have our game plan, our schemes, we have our coverages, we know how we want to attack an offense. But Jelko pulled me to the side and be like, hey, look, Mike, Skosanides is starting. I need you to just run up and down the court. Don't worry about the ball. Just run. And in my mind, I'm like, why? You just want me to run. But I knew big fella couldn't keep up like this. And the moment I see him put the X up and he subs out, I'm just like, okay, now I can start playing my game a little bit, right? But it was just some little added little things that, you know, Jelko would do to make me prepare a little bit more. I was an undersized center. Sometimes I would play against big 7-footers and he'd be like, hey, Mike, they're going to try to post you up to get you in foul trouble. So you can't let that happen. So I had to do all my defense early. I had to front the post, 3/4 the post, or I had to rely on help from my teammates, you know what I'm saying, to help me with somebody with more size than me. So it all went hand in hand, you know what I mean? And, you know, 2007 was very, very special, you know, year for us. And hopefully 2026 is a special year for Panathinaikos, because I want to be there. You know what I mean? Watch them hold the trophy. I missed Berlin. I'm still a little bit
I didn't miss Berlin.
that.
I wasn't there.
I missed Berlin 2024 when they was able to raise the title. So hopefully this year, 2026, they'll be lifting the title, and I can just be right there giving them a standing ovation.
Mike, one last question, and then we're gonna have like fast questions, like to let you in your piece, because I know we are over an hour, but the conversation is doing great. Like I cannot imagine like one point in my life that I'm speaking with Mike Batiste. But anyway, this is my things. You mentioned like undersized center, your play style. You weren't a center when you came to EuroLeague and to Panathinaikos. You were a small forward. This transition from a forward to a pick and roller master or maestro, how? And how difficult it is?
It wasn't easy, to tell you the truth, but I think that's just a testament of my fundamentals. I think it's a testament to my skill set, that you could take a player out of a position that he was playing and put him in another position that he's never played. I think Obradovic saw something that was an advantage. Maybe I didn't see it, but he saw it. And I remember the first time him and Itudas, sat me down and told me, he's like, look, Mike, we need you to play center. We think you can, be better at this position. We think you have advantages at this position with your quickness, your agility, and all this different stuff. And I'm 24 years old at this point, just coming from the NBA, and it's kind of making sense and it's kind of not making sense, but at the end of the day, I was like, I was a truth or dare type of guy. So I was just like, well, shit, I'll dare him just to put me out there and let's try it. I was one of those players, like, just put me out there. I'll find a way to impact the game, whether that's rebounding, passing the ball. I felt that my fundamentals and skill set was good enough to perform at, I wouldn't say any position, but you've put me in any position, I'm going to give you my best, right? And so the first year there was a little bit of trial and error. Things were a little bit up and down. Really didn't understand the philosophy and the system as I should, because when you're coming from the NBA, it's so much, freedom to shoot the ball when you want to. I'm just gonna call it like it is. But, there were certain rules and principles and standards within Jelko's philosophy that I had to understand, and I didn't understand that the first year. And maybe because I'm worried about, maybe I should be small forward, but I'm playing center, like just a lot of stuff just going, through my mind. And I remember, finishing that year, going into the summer, like, I don't want to go back there and play center again. I'd rather go back, try to find a job in the NBA where I can play my natural position. Right. And that's what I did. I went into the summer, talking to other teams. I didn't like what they was talking about. Things wasn't attractive. And, right before the summer had actually ended, I had my agent call Panathinaikos back and was like, listen, if you guys, want to have me, like, I would love to come back. And so they accepted me coming back. The second year we leave the sporting arena and we go into Oaxaca for the 04-05 season, I believe. And, right from there, like, I already knew what I was getting into when I signed the contract to come back next year. And I think my focus was different because I knew what I was getting into. I knew the coach. I knew his style of coaching, how he was going to get on you. I knew the way Itudas was going to coach, his style of coaching, how he was going to get on you. I knew the players that was coming back, right? And then we also had a special player. We ended up signing Dimitris Dimitidis, right, to the team, which was also an added incentive of coming back, because I remember my first year when he was in Iraq lease with Lazo Papadopoulos. Them two guys single-handedly almost eliminated us from the playoffs, and Dimitris Dimitidis was a big part of that. Like, I remember game 3 in Sporting, he could have had a chance to beat us, and we got a pretty favorable call at that time. so I'm not going to say anything else, but we was able to, beat them in a 3-game series. But to watch his style of play, of how he impacted the game and how we had to pay so much attention to him, he deserved to be playing at a higher level. And thank God Panathinaikos came in there and signed him, got the deal done, because once he got to the team, like you can tell his impact and everything else took us to a whole nother level. Like we went to the Final Four the next year, 2005 in Moscow. And even though we was inexperienced, we was a young team, and that core has never been on that platform. Like we wouldn't have been there if we don't make that signing, like at all. Right. He took us to a whole nother level, the way he defended, the way he shut down guys defensively. And then offensively, we had somebody that can just look over the defense. Like we never had somebody like that. Like, with those long arms, vision, everything, you throw any kind of defensive situation at him, I mean, he's going to find a way to make the right play. And that was a very special trait that, he had. And we incorporated that the next year. And, we tried some pick and roll things, trial by error. But we kept working at it, practice after practice, game after game, and things started clicking, and it just became unfair for a lot of teams that played against us, because they had no answer for it. It didn't matter if you blitzed us, we had an answer for it. If you played the big down the floor, we had an answer for it. It just didn't matter. Like Demetrius Demetia was going to make the right play. And he had 4 other guys on the floor that when he got rid of the ball, he trusted those guys that they would make the right play. Whether that was myself, Sharunas, Satsaris, we had other guys on the floor that can make plays, for one another. And that was very special. One of the special things about those teams at Panathinaikos.
So, Panos, let's go with the first questions. Like, Mike, whatever it comes to your mind first. No need to go like, you're going to see with the first question. I'm going to start, Panos.
Okay.
Final Four predictions.
Final Four prediction. I'm always going with Panathinaikos. That's 1. Fenerbahce is 2. I'm going to put Olympiacos in there. That is 3. And the 4th and final one. I want to put a Spanish team in there. I just don't know which one. I'll go with Valencia. That'll be my surprise. There's always has to be one. I always have one. I know what the 14 should be, but there's always one. I always sleeper, Cinderella story. I'm always going with one of those. Always.
Okay, I'm not gonna ask about the champion, because I think that you will say Panathinaikos, but I will ask something different. Let's say that Panathinaikos can't win the trophy.
Okay.
Which one do you think that will win the trophy?
I think Fenerbahce is going to go back to back. That's just my honest opinion. I mean, they're playing well right now. They've won, I don't know what they had, I think their winning streak just got snapped, but they won 11 out of 12 games, whatever. They're playing some really good ball at the best time right now. Now, how do they sustain that? That's up to Sharunas and the coaching staff. But the way that they're playing right now, to me, if Panathinaikos is not there, they're my champion. I mean, Tyler Horton-Tucker, I like the way that kid play. I mean, when I was in Orlando, I had a luxury, to be there in his draft workout. It was him, Tyler Hero, and I want to believe it was Colin Sexton and Trae Young, somebody like that. But it was a really, really good draft workout. And I mean, at 19 years old, you already saw the skill set in that kid. You knew he was going to be drafted. I didn't know it was going to be us or another team, but the skill set was there at a very early age. And now he has placed himself in the right situation with the right coach. And again, high level skill set, high level fundamental things that he's doing with the ball. Like you say, and nobody has seen that type of body playing with that force and power like in EuroLeague. You know what I mean? So it's special to see what he's doing.
Special, really special guy, really special. And one addition from what you said. I think from your generation, coaches like Sarunas is the only one that has the know-how to win consecutive titles back to back or three-peat.
Maybe
He has done it as a player. He has done it as a player. Spanoulis also. Vasilis, yes, for sure. Great coach. I really like the coach styling. But I don't know. Saras has something special. I don't know. I cannot explain. But no matter what.
Did you call him after winning the EuroLeague title, saying, "Hey, Malagas, you did it"?
I did congratulate him, last year in Abu Dhabi. It was a very, very special moment. First title, #1. I mean, I know he's been, before that time, he was at a few Final Fours, never won. And there was a few, little stories out there if he can ever, win it. He's on the biggest platform, hasn't won it. So to see him finally kick through the door was awesome. My wife and I were sitting right in front of his wife and kids, and we were sharing stories with Anna, just going like reminiscing back in the day. So it was awesome to see them like cheer and have tears of joy because they also know what it meant to Sarunas as well. And the night before the championship, I was able to hang out with him and his family, at a restaurant for a couple hours. So it was good to break bread with him, sit down, talk with him, pick his mind. But he was, just relaxed. Like, I'm like, man, this dude has to coach one of the biggest games tomorrow. But, when you're around family, you're yourself, right? You're your authentic self. And I think that was the common mechanism, like, for him to go into the game, to be around his family, to keep me calm. I don't have to be anxious. There's no pressure. Like, win or lose, like these people at this table, they're still going to be happy for me. And I think that was a big, big weight off his shoulder. And to see him, again, win it last year was unbelievable. You know what I mean? Even for me as a coach and want to be a head coach one day, it was very inspiring.
Fast answer now. Best teammate, but not from other positions, only center position.
Oh, best teammate just from a center position?
Because I know you're going to say Sarunas or you're going to say Diamantidis. Most of the centers, they're saying the guards. I want to exclude the guards and go like, okay, let's go. I will put forwards also.
No, that's fine. I mean, I have a lot, but Pekovic was like, that was like my little big brother. You know what I mean? Like he was 21 years old when he came to us, but he looked up to me in some type of way. So I had to find a way to brother that relationship, even though he was stronger than me, more physical than me. I was the older brother, but I had to find a way to find this boundary line to push him what it needs to be, to help him understand the thinking of Obradovic and Itoudis, because it's never easy. You're going to be challenged, whether you played a good game or a great game. It don't matter. You could blow a rotation in that game, and maybe coach might have that one clip that he's going to show everybody in the video session. So it's just certain things that you had to deal with. I showed him how to, get around in Athens, the restaurants to eat at. I mean, at this point, I'm 4 or 5 years, in Athens. So I done pretty much made a life for myself to where I've created a routine and habits for myself that I do every single day. So again, remember how I told you that I like to lead by example. I just brought him around my habitat, and whatever he took from that, he took from it and put it into his routine, So I think that's another thing that was special about all the players from Panathinaikos. We all took one thing from one another. Like I remember watching Dejan Tomasevic running a low split action where you would throw the ball to the elbow and there'd be a guard-to-guard pin down in the corner. And we never ran that play when I got into the game. Maybe Joko just didn't think I was a great enough passer, or I just didn't understand the reads or whatever. But I remember when I was on the bench, I was like, man, I have to find a way to do what he does and make those, not the behind the back passes, but I had to find a way to get coach to trust me to run that play. Why? Because we don't have to condense the playbook and run something different. If we see an action there and we're getting something out of it and we're hurting the defense, then we can do the same thing with me in there too. So I didn't want anything to be different. I always try to take certain things away from teammates. Even like Batiste had the jump pass, right? You know, I would get into a situation to the paint where I would roll. I would feel 3 guys around me. I know a teammate is open. I would just jump and make myself taller to see over the defense and make the pass and trust that my teammates is going to make the shot on the kick out. So we all try to learn from one another. We all try to teach one another. And again, that was a very special trait from our group.
I think that this is it. Christopher, do you have something to add?
No, just pure love for Mike Batiste. Pure love. Like, wish one day meet you in person. First of all, wish you sometime to see you in Europe coaching as a head coach,
Or in
especially in
NBA.
Panathinaikos. Or in and you know, Panos, I like NBA, but it's not something that I sit down and watch. I prefer to watch football, American
Yes,
football.
but it's my personal goal. I will say one day that I have interview with someone who's coaching on NBA right now.
Yeah, okay.
That's awesome.
That's a, you know, you have your goals, we have ours.
Hey, everything goes 2 folds, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. That is
But
so awesome.
I hope one day, like, see you again in Panathinaikos as a head coach, because not that we love you only, but you have the mentality, I think, to be there as a first coach.
We will see. And like I told you guys before, they know where I'm at. They have my number. I'm not hiding under a rock anywhere. But right now, I mean, there's no need to have a conversation, you know, because I think it's unfair for what Ottoman and those guys are doing right now, because they're doing an unbelievable job. But, you know, in the future, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. And hopefully that, you know, when that time comes, you know, I'll get a call and we will see. But again, like I said, I've been preparing to be a head coach for the last 12 years. It's not like I'm sitting here just, you know, not trying to be a head coach. But I'm in the NBA. I'm in the best league in the world right now. I'm watching the best players in the world right now. I got the greatest seat in the house. I sit right behind, you know, Darko Rajokovic, and he is a true Serbian. Just to let you guys know, he's all about the work.
Maybe you will help us get in contact with him, and he will be here also for an interview, maybe.
Hey, you never know. If you need me, I'll definitely connect that and hook that up. But he is truthful. He's a really good communicator. He's in your face, and trust me, when you piss him off, all the Serbian curse words come out, and I understand it all. So, you know, I might not be smiling because I don't want the players to think, oh, like, oh, it's whatever. But internally, I'm like, holy shit! Like, only if they knew what he's saying. I know, but they don't know, you know. But again, man, I'm getting a first class experience. I feel like I'm working on my master's right now, right? It's just like, you know, you played at the highest level, and now you fall back and coaching at the highest level. It don't get no better than this to have this firsthand experience, to be in practice, work players out, go through walkthrough, help with game plan and schemes and coverages. It's tough, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's basketball, and it's something that I'm enjoying. You do take on sleepless nights, you do take on the stress, a lot of travel. But at the end of the day, you know, you find a way to get through it. Like it's all that I know. You know what I mean? I don't know nothing else. I can't go be a real estate agent. I will not put the same amount of effort and passion into it as I would, you know, with basketball. Again, this is what I live for, and this is what I'm going to die for.
We really hope that you achieve all your goals. We thank you very, very much as a channel, me as a Panos, and of course Christopher. I think thank you very, very much for being here. I think
anytime, man.
I think that you enjoyed your time here.
No, man, listen, I did enjoy my time here. You know, when I sit and talk to people of Greece, man, I always feel like I'm talking to family. So Again, thank you guys, man, for the invite. It is an honor. Like I said, you guys, keep my legacy alive, man. I mean, to be retired for 12 years now and still have the impact on a lot of people, man. It's, trust me, man, my heart is singing with joy. I'm really, really honored to have an impact on a lot of people's lives over there.
Do you remember when we chant your name? What was the chant?
Mike,
it's a bit.
I don't want to say it.
I want to say it right now so much.
You never know.
Exactly.
Hopefully, Panathinaikos makes the Final Four. And then when I walk into that arena, I can hear a small chant of that for a little bit.
For sure.
But hopefully it doesn't distract from the main goal. Those things are a little bit tricky and iffy, and it's,
it's not. It's tradition. We did with Albertis and Diamantidis in 2024. So
it is a little bit tricky, but sometimes it can be a distraction. You know what I mean? Because I remember one time I was young and we're warming up and the fans start chanting Buddy Roger, and you're just looking over there like, oh, this, and now you're out of what you need to do, right? So you have to really mentally stay locked in. It could take the smallest thing to get you off your mental game. So I really try to stay locked in to the moment as much as I could, because the moment you get out of that, you can't mentally lock back in. So, you have to do all that mental preparation before and stay locked into the moment.
Blessed to meet you. Blessed to meet you. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you guys, man. You need me again, just let me know, man. I'm always here.
Λοιπόν, Χριστόφορε, αυτό ήταν. Ένα like σε αυτό το βίντεο, ένα subscribe σε αυτό το κανάλι. Φύγαμε. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ.
Και τα λέμε στο επόμενο live. Ciao.